Okay, this is your spoiler warning. We're doing invasions in Shadow of the Erdtree. We are only doing invasions in one of the first legacy dungeons that most people will find, the Bellarat Tower settlement. So yeah, spoiler warning if you don't want to see invasions in the DLC. They told me not to do it. They said, infomercial. Why are you going into the DLC with a quality build? There's going to be so many spells. There's going to be so many incantations. You're going to miss out on so much stuff. Well, guess what? The quality build rocks. It rips in the DLC. I have found like a dozen physical damage weapons so far that I love. Here's one. Here's a hilarious weapon that I love. It is called the Horned Warrior Sword. The Horned Warrior Sword. It has this amazing Ash of War horn calling. You can free aim it. It has a ton of range. It will break people's guards. It really catches people off guard. They don't know what to do with it. They don't know how to handle themselves. They don't know how to act. They don't know what's going on. They don't know what's good for them. This is, I believe, a guaranteed drop, although I'm not exactly sure, from like the first Horned Warrior that you see in this legacy dungeon. It's outside of like the second grace checkpoint inside the dungeon. He's a big guy walking around with two huge curved swords. It's, you know, it's a power stanced curved sword. It's good. They nerfed these recently with the latest patch, but you know what's stronger than a nerf is my sheer willpower and my desire to use every single new weapon that I find. That's stronger than any nerf. That is stronger than any patch. But I love this thing. Look at this. You can use this Ash of War. The Ash of War gives you a little bit of hyper armor, and you can also use it to dodge Stone of Garank. Look at that. Just ducking right under it. Get out of town. Get out of here. So that's the first weapon that you will see me using in this invasion. Eagle-eyed viewers may have noticed that I used a second weapon there, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. But yeah, the Horned Warrior Sword is amazing. I love this thing. Look at it interrupt that Ash of War from this person. I believe they are using... I don't even know what these enemies are called. It's the Ring Blades, right? You know, you see one of these guys, he kind of hops down and attacks you at the very start of the DLC. They're using that. But this Ash of War, yeah, it can stun people. You can use it to punish healing. It's really, really good at flask punishes. Because it comes out quick, and most people... It has 2 hitboxes, so most people don't know to like dodge the first one. And then they get caught by the second one. And then it also... So the build that I'm running here, basically, I have multi-hit talismans on it, and the multi-hit thing in my flask. And so this thing procs that effect and increases damage output, along with Millicent's prosthesis and the winged sword insignia that I have on me. And so it's, you know, it's bad news. Bad news bears. But this dungeon is, it's an invader's dream. I love this place so much. There's so many like little traps that you can set for people. There's a couple of very strong enemies that it seems like a lot of people aren't super aware of yet. So you can drag people to these enemies. You can shoot people off of high places with the jar cannon. You know, it's a classic. Overall, my impression of the DLC so far has been that it is excellent. It's so good. It's everything that I wanted, especially when it comes to invasions and the new weapons that they've rolled out. So I'm kind of only really featuring like 2 here. But again, we see kind of an instance where he kind of rolls out of this one, but you can use horn calling to punish all sorts of stuff. And I don't know if I have any clips of me doing it here, but you can free aim it, like that is possible. And so I think there's like a high skill ceiling to this thing, really. If you get good at aiming it, you could catch people in all sorts of situations. But yeah, the DLC is excellent. Just, you know, even better than I would have hoped for. And this place in particular, I have had so much fun invading in. It feels almost, you know, a little old school. I don't know how to put it. Like, the DLC, I tweeted this the other day, it feels like Elden Ring 3. Like, it feels like they just skipped 2. It's like light years ahead of the base game, just in terms of world design. Like, going back to the base game feels so primitive, which is crazy to say because Elden Ring, when it came out, felt like it was light years ahead of every other open world RPG. Like, doing something completely different and much better than anything else that was out there. And now we have Shadow of the Erdtree, which is like, you know, it's putting the base game to shame in terms of just like how intricate this world is and how much stuff there is to see in it. There aren't really a whole lot of like dead zones. You know, when you play the base game, there's some areas that are pretty like boring, and you just kind of have to run through them. Not so with this. So, anyways, the other weapon that we're using here is this sword that you get from the... look at this. Look at that Ash of War. Anyways, this is the sword that you get from that guy in the mausoleum at the very, very start. And the Ash of War, it's called Solitary Moon Slash. And this thing is great. It's like, you know, the developer said, hey, what if we made Vacuum Slice good? Like, what if we made one that wasn't trash? I mean, other than that, it's a great sword, you know? I believe it gets like an A scaling in strength, but the real draw of this weapon is that Ash of War. You can cover a lot of ground with it. It has 3 hits, so again, it is proccing those like multi-hit effects that we have. You do the initial slash, you lunge forward, and there's like a shoulder charge kind of thing that your character will do. And that, I think, depending on, like, it doesn't hit all the time, but if it hits, it will stun people and kind of like sometimes guarantee the third hit of the Ash of War. And if you have like the multi-hit setup that I have, all 3 of those hits are like lethal. If you land all 3 of those with a person, it is hard to survive those. And so these are kind of the 2 main weapons that I've really been like rocking with for invasions. These were all just some that I did yesterday off stream, just kind of testing it out. I like the idea of doing like place specific invasions. I think is what I'm going to be doing for these videos for the next little while, at least until I'm like done with the DLC. Is I'm just going to be picking like a spot in the world and doing invasions in it. So a legacy dungeon, a part of the open world, just a place that I think is interesting or that has like a lot of co-op activity, because there's a crazy amount of co-op going on right now, which obviously, right, DLC just dropped, everybody's playing with their buddies, so invasions are plentiful. I'm at level like 132 or something. Honestly, I could probably slap another 20 levels onto this character and be completely fine, you know? I'm not going to be missing out on invasions because I'm 150 versus 130. In fact, I think most people are a higher level than me that I'm invading in the DLC. I think that they are probably like in the 150, probably to like 200 range. Honestly, I've seen a lot of people online talking about playing at 200. But another very interesting thing about the DLC is the talismans. There are so many more talismans now, and I don't exactly know what to make of them because some of them are very interesting. I don't know exactly like what kind of setup they would work best with, but there are talismans that increase your attack power after critical hits. There are talismans that increase your attack power after you defeat an enemy. And so it's like there's probably use cases for all of these. I just haven't quite figured them out yet. But my favorite one that I've found by far is, you know, the Blessed Dew talisman in the base game. You hit that chest in Limgrave, you get transported to Lane-Dell, like that kind of walled off section of Lane-Dell, and then you can, you know, grab this little talisman behind the golem, and it slowly restores your health. That's like an invader classic, you know? That's like a must-have for every single invasion build, because if somebody's being passive and just sitting there, you can regen your health for free, and you don't have to use any FP, you don't have to use a flask. So if they just want to sit there and wait, like, hey, you can do that too and get all your health back. In Shadow of the Erdtree, there is a Blessed Dew Talisman that restores your FP. Again, this is like complete essential for any invasion build now. Like, this is not optional. Like, you have to go get this thing. This is an incredibly powerful tool that you can use to your advantage in invasions, because in some cases, FP is much, much more valuable than HP. Like, you know, there's a lot of different things that you can use to regen your HP. There's incantations, there's consumable items, all that stuff. Regenning FP, I think, was specifically limited to Starlight Shards in the base game. That was the only way you could do it, and there was a limited number of them. So it's kind of like, you know, if you ran out of FP, you're just kind of hosed. Like, you just have to fight without using spells or Ashes of War, things like that. Not so anymore, which opens up so many possibilities for builds and invasions. You see me slapping on that talisman here, and yeah, it just ticks up. I think it's at the exact same speed as the Blessed Dew Talisman. So over the course of, I want to say, probably 3 or 4 minutes. So, you know, it's not instant, like it does take a long time, but after about 3 or 4 minutes, I had all of my FP back, which meant that I could use these Ashes of War and use incantations that I have on my character again here. Because these guys went down into a section of this legacy dungeon that is a dead end. There's so many dead ends that you can trap people in this legacy dungeon. I just love it. Like, they went down there, the only way you can get back up is through this ladder. So, surprise, surprise, you know, guess who's waiting at the top of the ladder? It's me. It's me. It's always been me the whole time. Listen to me go. I'm drinking coffee. I'm just sitting here. This is a very casual video. We don't even have music underneath this. We just have the game music because I forgot to turn the music off in my game. But the music in the DLC is so good. It's so good. It's absolutely insane. So here's me showing off the multi-hit talisman. Look at this. With just 3 attacks, I got both the co-opper and the invader. Or maybe it was 4. It was the Ash of War and then 3 normal attacks, and then it's just over. So there's some real good utility to these swords here. I pretty much only ever play with them like paired. You know, I'm not really like one-handing these at all, but they are just like incredibly powerful. And if it is a guaranteed drop, I think you're going to see a lot of people using these. I think that you are going to see a lot of invaders using these, especially people who are interested in those more kind of like high skill ceiling weapons, stuff that you can free aim, stuff that you can use for flask punishing, roll catches, all sorts of stuff. But I just love it, you know. There's so many weapons that I have right now that I'm not even showing off because I just don't quite know like what to do with them yet. But like, I'm gonna be trying a bunch of these. The DLC gives you tons and tons of upgrade materials and runes. So getting a weapon that you find up to plus 25 or up to plus 10, like Somber Weapon, is not a big deal. Like, you'll be swimming in runes, you'll be swimming in upgrade materials. If you find something new, you should try it out. Because most of the people that I'm invading here are still using base game stuff. Like, they're using Rivers of Blood, even though it got nerfed. They're using Moonveil, even though it got nerfed. They're using all those sort of classic spells and incantations and armor. But, like, try it out. You are going to find something that you like better than what you have in the base game. Better than, like, you know, power-stanced greatswords. Better than colossal weapons. I know that's what everybody loves because they're good. You know, they're good weapons. But, like, look at that. 413 damage from, like, a city block away on a melee weapon. And it costs basically no FP. It is insanely cheap. It does great damage. It does great poise damage to people. I mean, look at that, right? That interrupted a colossal weapon right there. That guy was mid-swing, and or maybe not a colossal weapon. It was a great sword, but still, interrupting a great sword mid-swing with an Ash of War like this that has range, I feel like is kind of rare. So I've just been loving this thing, you know, stomping around Bellarat, protecting my hometown. Who are you people? You know, it used to be a nice neighborhood here. It used to be a nice neighborhood in here, and then all these people showed up, and I want them out of my town, out of my sweet, sweet little town with a big old poop river flowing through the middle of it. I still haven't quite found out what that is. Like, it's a big old, like, river of diarrhea, it looks like, running through the middle of this town. And, you know, I'm no public health inspector, but I think that would be a bit of a problem for the residents of this nice place. So yeah, that's, you know, these are the invasions, folks. This is what we're doing here. We're just hanging out. We're just having a blast. We're living the dream. It is, I mean, like, I can't even explain some of the stuff that I have found in the DLC so far. Like, it would blow your mind. Blow your little mind. And I don't know what to make of it. There's stuff that I found last night in the DLC that is, you know, very confusing and makes me think that maybe everything that I, like, thought about the story of the base game is not quite true. And I'm very intentionally, like, not watching other people's lore stuff, and I'm just taking hundreds of screenshots and videos to try and, like, form my own opinions. And this is kind of the classic From Software way when it comes to their DLCs, right? A lot of the times we don't quite get the answers that we're looking for. We just get more questions. Or maybe we get hints and suggestions at an answer for a question, but nothing explicit. And that is definitely the case with some of the stuff that I have found. Like, it's sort of addressing the questions that a lot of people had about some stuff in the base game, but in a way that just makes you rethink things, right? It's not like a big lore dump that just tells you exactly what's going on. It is like, you know, well, here's something that's related to that, and here's some additional information that that is just going to bring up more questions, and that is not going to explain anything. And that's just kind of what they do with their DLCs. Although, I mean, I think that they definitely are more explicitly, like, it's about Mikola, you know? They're not going to do a thing where it's, like, about someone completely different in the DLC. Like, you know, this will answer, I think, some people's questions about that, but it's also going to raise a lot more questions. So here's the build one more time, right? This is a quality build. 40 strength, 40 dex. We get +5 dex from the Millicent's prosthesis. Level 132. That's what we're doing, right? We're using these weapons. We're using the Horned Warrior Sword. We're using, like, the Solitary Moon Knight Sword. Anyways, thanks for watching.